When I say toxic fandoms, a bunch of things probably come to your mind. And no matter what those things are, maybe Undertale fandom, Sonic the Hedgehog's fandom, My Hero Academia community, whatever comes to your mind, I'm here to tell you that you didn't read the thumbnail or the title of the video, did you? Because you already know what I'm here to tell you. But don't worry, not all like reading either. Anyways, I'm here to tell you that toxic fandoms don't actually exist. No fandom is toxic. Reality, it's just people who are toxic and are coincidentally in a fandom. But for some reason, people decide to blame the fandom and the media itself, which just ends up sucking for everyone. I mean, come on, it sucks for the creators, because, you see something you put blood, sweat, and tears into, considered toxic just because some random person was like, I like your thing, but I'm also gonna be toxic, I don't know. And it sucks for the non-toxic fans. I mean, for them, they see their fandom considered toxic, and then they usually just get made fun of. They're not allowed to like that thing, so usually they go into hiding. They are like, oh yeah, it's Undertale, I hate Undertale, yeah, 0 out of 10, yeah, toxic fandom, am I right? And then, they're in hiding. And since they're in hiding, you don't see the non-toxic fans. So in reality, it just looks like the minority of the toxic fans gets even louder because the non-toxic fans are just going into hiding. Okay, but first, what does it mean for a fandom to be toxic? Well, it just basically means that a fandom is generally considered toxic. Wow. No, but really, where can the toxicity come from? Well, honestly, it's just people who do things that are just generally not accepted in the fandom. And that could be just forcing people's opinions down your throat, or just getting mad at people because they aren't in the fandom or have some sort of criticism about your fandom, or just generally things that are just very questionable. And it's just, why would you do that? That's really stupid. But then here's the thing. I think a lot of people tend to forget that these people who are considered toxic are the minority. And they're always the minority. Sure, they're the loud minority, but that's only because you're not in the fandom. Once you're in the fandom and in the community, you see these toxic people less, believe it or not. And that's just because you see everyone else, not just the stuff that leaks out outside of the fandom's walls. People generally just like to hate on things. So if someone does something really stupid in the fandom versus someone doing something completely normal in the fandom, what do you think is going to get out to the public? And since that's the only thing that gets out to the public, everyone just assumes that what they saw is a representation of every single person in the fandom, which is really stupid if you think about it. I mean, you're gonna see one singular person and just assume everyone in a fandom is like that. Imagine if that's what you did, dogs or pets or something. You see one pet and it, let's say, it just bites you, and now you just assume every single pet is the worst. How does that make sense? How? But then here's the other thing. Sure, let's say these fandoms are toxic, even though that they're the minority. You see stuff like this. If you go to Google and type up toxic fandom definition, you'll see this if you scroll down just a bit. So you're telling me that you're gonna claim these fandoms to be fully all toxic and bad people, but then you do stuff like this? You're just gonna claim that, all these people suck because they're so toxic and annoying, but then you just suffocate them with your opinions? Remember what I said earlier? Yeah, that still applies. You're gonna just suffocate them saying, yo, this thing sucks. We get it, bro. You hate Sonic the Hedgehog. You don't need to suffocate us by saying, oh, look at what your one fandom did that one time. We get it. They're bad apples, but that's true for every single fandom. I understand that. Some fandoms obviously have more toxic people than others. But that's just because some fandoms are different things. If you see a fandom with a bunch of animals in it, you're going to attract more furries. Not to say that furries are toxic, I'm just saying that's just how it works. different people will get attracted to different things in a fandom, and different toxic people will do the same thing. Some people will get attracted to some toxic things in fandom, and some will get attracted to others. That's just how things are, and that's true for every fandom. But I get it, there are toxic people in the end. I'm not saying that there are no toxic people, just that they're the minority. But here's the thing, to you minority of toxic people, when someone gives constructive criticism about the fandom that you're in, why would you dislike bomb them or just cancel them on Twitter? You're just proving their point and making the rest of the fandom look even worse. And now everyone else has to suffer because of you toxic people. And again, it's the same people. The creators have to suffer because what they made is considered toxic because of you, and the non-toxic fans have to suffer because they have to get made fun of and deal with getting yelled at for liking a fandom by other toxic people. So, if you ever see criticism about your fandom, take a moment before disliking it and think, am I being toxic right now? Because please, just please stop making us look bad. But in the end, I know this isn't going to change anyone's opinion. I know that some fandoms are just going to be seen as more toxic than others, and that's fine. But to you, the viewer, I just want to let you know that if you see a fandom and are like, oh, I can't get into it, people are going to yell at me, and because it's toxic, just know that, nah, it's probably not toxic. Just take a moment to look at the fandom. Most people will see a fandom and say, oh yeah, it's toxic, and move on, instead of actually looking into it and being like, maybe those few bad apples aren't the entire fandom. But no one's willing to put in that amount of work, and people are always willing to bandwagon, especially when it comes to hate, because it's way easier to just go, oh yeah, fandom's toxic, and then move on with your day, instead of thinking, you know what, maybe those few examples that I've seen aren't the entire fandom. Yeah, humans are lazy, but that's just how it is going to be. But if you ever see fandoms that you want to join, and it's generally considered toxic, don't let that stop you, man. Just join the fandom. Because 9 times out of 9, they're not really toxic. It's just a few bad apples that make it look bad. They're really not that bad at all. Just remember that the fandom and the media itself can be two completely separate things. I saw this one comment on a Undertale video. It was a re-upload of Quiet Water, the soundtrack from the game. It's from Zach Crawford, and I'll put it on screen now. But he basically says that the love for Undertale and the fandom can be two separate things. You can love the fandom and you can love the game, or you can just like the game. Either way, they are two separate things. So don't let the fandom stop you from loving a game, show, or whatever it is. And to the people who hate on toxic fandoms, just let people like what they want to like. You're being very hypocritical doing that. Oh, and one more thing. Dude, the Sonic the Hedgehog fandom is so toxic.